All right, let's get right into it. We need to talk about the one workout that we all seem to have a serious love-hate relationship with, leg day.
You know that feeling, right? When you've had an amazing workout, and for the next 2 days, you have to strategize how you're going to sit down, or maybe you even find yourself walking downstairs backward.
Well, if that sounds familiar, trust me, you are in good company. But what if I told you that struggle is actually a powerful sign of progress? Today, we're going to decode the science behind leg day, from why it's so incredibly tough to how you can make it the single most effective workout of your entire week.
Okay, so here's the game plan. First, we'll get into why leg day feels so uniquely brutal. Then, we're going to meet your body's real engine. We'll unpack this thing called the sleepy glute problem, and more importantly, how to wake those glutes up. After that, we'll dive into the science of why you get so sore, and we'll wrap up with how to recover like an absolute pro.
First up, why is leg day so ridiculously hard? And let me just say, this is not in your head. There's some serious science that explains the struggle. It really boils down to one thing: scale. Your legs are home to the biggest, most powerful muscle groups in your entire body. We're talking your quads, your hamstrings, and of course, your glutes. In training these giants, well, they're absolute energy hogs. They demand a massive amount of oxygen and fuel, which is why your heart rate just skyrockets. It may be called leg day, but honestly, it's a full body assault. So if you've ever been completely out of breath after a heavy set of squats and thought, wait, is this cardio? The answer is yes, it kind of is. Leg day is this amazing two-for-one deal where you're building serious muscular strength and boosting your cardiovascular stamina all at the same time. And speaking of power, that brings us to section 2, meet your body's engine. And no, I'm not talking about your heart. We're talking about the true powerhouse of your entire body, the gluteus maximus. Get this. According to the research, the gluteus maximus, or GM for short, isn't just another muscle. It's officially the largest and most powerful muscle in the entire human body. It's literally the muscle that allows us to stand upright. It's absolutely crucial for everything from just standing there to generating explosive athletic power. And your glutes are elite multitaskers, seriously. They work as a local stabilizer, kind of like a brace for your lower back and knees. They're also a global stabilizer, controlling your whole trunk and pelvis whenever you move. And then, the one we all know, they're a global mobilizer, producing that raw, explosive force you need for squats, jumps, and sprints. They do it all. But what happens when this incredible engine just stalls out? Well, that brings us to the sleepy glute problem. And believe me, this is a phenomenon that affects way more of us than you think. So what's the cause? A huge part of it is just our modern life. Sitting for long periods literally teaches your glutes to switch off, to just take a nap. You combine that with tight hip flexors from all that sitting, and maybe even some lingering pain from an old injury, and your brain can actually decide to sideline your glutes as a way to protect the body. The science behind this is actually pretty cool. The first piece of the puzzle is something called reciprocal inhibition. Just imagine a seesaw. When one side goes up, the other has to go down. It's the same with your muscles. When your hip flexors on the front are constantly tight, they send a signal that tells the opposing muscles, your glutes, to just chill out and switch off. And when your glutes are switched off, something else kicks in: synergistic dominance. Think of it like this. The star player on your team, the glute, is sitting on the bench. So the helper muscles, like your hamstrings and your lower back, are forced to step up and do a job they were never really designed for. And what happens? They get overworked, strained, and that can eventually lead to injury. Okay, enough of the bad news. That's the problem, so let's get to the solution. It's time to talk about waking up your glutes. We've got a simple, evidence-based strategy to get that engine firing on all cylinders again. And it's a really simple two-step process. First, you isolate. You have to send a direct wake-up call to the muscle with targeted exercises like clamshells or glute bridges. It's like reintroducing yourself. Then, once they're awake, you integrate. You teach that muscle how to play well with others again, putting it to work in a big, functional movement like a squat. And here's a fantastic example of that integration phase in action. Just adding a simple pause at the bottom of your squat can be a total game changer. By holding that tough position, you're forcing your glutes to fire up and stabilize under load, which basically hardwires that mind-muscle connection. And hey, if you want to really maximize that glute activation, here are a few more quick tips from the research. Focus on a hip-dominant pattern. Think about sitting back into a chair, not just bending your knees forward.
Also, leaning your trunk slightly forward actually increases the demand on your glutes. Oh, and that simple resistance band around your knees? Yep, studies show it really works to get your glutes fired up.
So your glutes are firing, you've absolutely crushed your workout, and now you're feeling it. Let's move on to the science of that soreness, officially known as delayed onset muscle soreness, or DOMS.
Now, this right here is a huge mindset shift. That soreness you feel is not a bad thing. It's a positive sign. It's a high five from your body. It means you've created tiny, microscopic tears in your muscle fibers. And as your body repairs these little tears, it doesn't just patch them up, it rebuilds them stronger than before. That is literally how muscles grow.
And the timing of it all is so interesting, right? It's called delayed onset muscle soreness for a reason. The soreness usually starts to creep in about 12 to 24 hours after your workout. Then it hits its peak somewhere between 24 and 48 hours. That's when your body's internal cleanup crew is working its hardest. After about 72 hours, things start to calm down, and the real rebuilding phase kicks into high gear. Which brings us to our final section, how to recover like a pro. Now that you understand the soreness, here's your toolkit for managing it so you can maximize all that hard work.
Okay, here's your post-workout checklist. Foam rolling right after you exercise helps increase blood flow and flush things out. For nutrition, you've got to give your body the building blocks to repair that muscle, so aim for 20 to 40 grams of protein within a couple of hours. Hydration is non-negotiable for getting nutrients where they need to go. And a good old Epsom salt bath? It's not just relaxing, it can genuinely help reduce some of that swelling.
When you boil it all down, it comes to this. Your legs are your foundation. They power pretty much everything you do, so you've got to train them like it, with intention, with intelligence, and with respect for the recovery process. So we've decoded the science, from sleepy glutes to the timeline of soreness. The only question left is, now that you have the code, how are you going to rewrite your next leg day?